Peralatan kawalan kerosakan kapal digunakan untuk mengawal kerosakan pada kapal dalam situasi kecemasan. Ia membantu memperlahankan kemasukan air dan memberi masa kepada anak kapal untuk membina sokongan. Beberapa peralatan kawalan kerosakan termasuk: shoring boleh dibuat daripada papan pain kuning atau 12 fer yang sekurang-kurangnya 1 inci tebal dan 8 hingga 12 inci lebar. Alat kit kawalan kerosakan mungkin termasuk alat seperti gergaji, tukul, kapak, palu, pemutar skru, pengungkit, kunci paip, kunci saluran, kunci bulan sabit, pisau, gunting, gerudi mudah alih, pengapit vis, dan pengapit C. Lampu suluh karis air dengan bateri baru adalah berguna. Bahan-bahan lain palam kayu, baji, bahan gasket, lembaran getah, tali wayar, tali, owakum, pengapit hos terpakai, kanvas, kit tampalan epoksi bawah air, dan pita pelekat. Pusat Kawalan Kerosakan (DCC) adalah lokasi pusat untuk kawalan kerosakan di atas kapal, di mana laporan dari stesen pembaikan dikumpulkan dan dibandingkan untuk menentukan keadaan kapal dan tindakan pembetulan yang perlu diambil. DCC adalah pusat saraf organisasi kawalan kerosakan dan dikendalikan oleh kaki tangan dari pelbagai bahagian di atas kapal. Pada kapal-kapal yang lebih baru, stesen kawalan pusat (CCS) adalah titik pusat untuk melaporkan dan juga boleh mengawal penutupan pintu zon kebakaran dan injap tertentu secara elektronik. Peralatan melawan kebakaran kebiasaannya disimpan berhampiran dengan pusat kawalan kerosakan (DCC). Jika kapal telah rosak sehingga air memasuki bahagian dalam kapal, ia mesti ditampal atau dibaiki untuk memastikan kapal terapung. Kecacatan kecil pada badan kapal boleh ditutup menggunakan palang dan baji kayu. Owakum adalah serat yang disarut tar yang digunakan untuk menutup celah. Aplikasi tradisionalnya adalah dalam pembinaan kapal untuk menampal atau mengisi sendi kayu dalam kapal kayu dan papan dek kapal besi dan keruli. Dalam pembinaan kapal, ia dipaksa ke dalam celah menggunakan tukul dan besi pengisi, kemudian disegel ke tempatnya dengan pitch panas. Dalam mengawal kebanjiran, ia digunakan bersama baji bagi menutup lubang air keluar. Kotak S-splinter ada berbagai saiz. Semua kotak diperbuat daripada aluminium grade pesawat ringan. Setiap kotak termasuk gasket getah sel tertutup. Kegunaan kotak ini bukan untuk menghentikan 100% kemasukan air ke dalam kapal anda. Objektifnya adalah untuk menahan sebahagian besar dengan melambatkan kemasukan air banjir. Kotak S-splinter bukan sebagai pembaikan kekal dan tidak boleh digunakan sebagai pembaikan kekal. Tupang, shoring, digunakan di atas kapal apabila kerosakan telah berlaku kebocoran dan untuk menahan kebocoran di tempatnya bagi mengurangkan atau menghentikan air yang masuk. Secara amnya terdiri daripada kayu 100 mm x 100 mm dan digunakan bersama dengan baji dan owakum untuk mengunci shoring di tempatnya.
Battleship New Jersey was a damage control powerhouse in the 80s. Her crew really trained for and excelled at different damage control access at them. So, to achieve that, the ship was retrofitted with damage control equipment all over the place. This is very common for Canadian Coast Guard vessels, not just New Jersey. But having visited many of these, including Mengawal-class battleships, I feel like New Jersey takes it one step further. That's probably why they got awards. We are outside the ship's post office right now, which is, if you're following your booklet, general plans at home. The bullseye says we're at 2, TAC 27, TAC 0, TAC L. So something that does not show up on other Iowa-class battleships is this shoring timber rack right outside the post office. So, shoring timber, why is it here? Basically, somebody punches a hole in your ship. Damage control is plugging that hole just enough to keep fighting or make it back to the port. It is not a full repair. Somebody punches a hole in your ship, a full repair might be welding a steel plate over it. It's very easy to do in dry dock, less easy to do when there's water coming through that hole. So, step 1 in combat is stop the water getting into the ship so you can maintain as much buoyancy as possible and as long as possible. You're not trying to stop all the water coming through. You're just trying to plug the hole enough that your pump can pump out more water than is coming into the ship. Shoring timber is a real easy way to prop something against the hull, or let's say a compartment is fatally flooded and that water is going to knock down the bulkhead. These bulkheads are not designed to take the full weight of thousands of gallons in a space like this against a door. So you can shore that door shut. There are all sorts of things you can do. So ships like New Jersey have both mechanical shores, but also just wooden timber laying around. And this stuff can be cut to size and placed wherever you want the ship. On modern ships, there's a lot of battery-powered equipment with this. On New Jersey, different shoring chests and repair lockers would have usually at least a pair of carpenter's crosscut saws like this one. And this is one of the ship's original saws. The repair parties had a certain budget, and they probably spent this at Lowe's or a Home Depot type place on a regular standard saw and kept it in a repair locker for possible emergency use. Electrical power tools existed by the 1980s, but they're intentionally using hand tools so that if there's a space flooding, they're not plugging into an electrical outlet or the space has lost power, they're not without their tools. So relatively easy with a carpenter's crosscut saw, an angle in the end of one of your boards so that it will wedge against the ground, and then against your door, your bulkhead, whatever the case may be. Once it's in place like that, you may need to wedge it further. And so the carpenter shop on this ship made a ton of offcuts of wedges like this one. And you know it's an original to the ship because it has the number written on it. This is a 3 by 3 by 12, which means it is 3 inches tall, 3 inches wide, and 12 inches long. This one does still have the mark on it, but it looks like it's still smeared off. But just going by a guess, it's about an inch by 1.5 or 2 inches by 6, something like that. So different wedges like these, you can wedge into your shoring timbers that are blocked there to give them more force, or you can hammer them both in at the same time to really force the door closed, force things to tighten up. And so all the repair lockers have balls like this. This is one of the smaller ones. Many of them have significantly heavier ones that you can use to hammer these wedges in place. And you would usually have somebody hammering from both sides at the same time so that one guy isn't knocking the wedges out. Shoring lockers like this would also have more conventionally sized hammers and things like that, so that you can nail all this together so it can get you back to port once you've wedged it all in place. So that's great for big holes. Let's say we're fighting another battleship and it's firing armor-piercing projectiles at us, and those projectiles punch a nice round hole in the side of the ship and keep on going. Maybe they don't detonate, maybe they're duds, maybe they don't hit enough to detonate and they go out the other side of the ship before they fuse. So we've also got plugs around the ship. Wee little babby plugs like this one. And you can see this one's actually been used. Notice how it's got the, where are they? This is very soft wood. Looks like yellow pine to me. But you hammer it into a hole, and then when it gets wet, it expands, and that really stops the flow of water coming in. Here's another one that also has been used before. Got strike marks on the back from where it was hammered into place. And then they come in a little bit bigger size. So here is one that maybe can stop a cruiser caliber hit. Looks like it's maybe 6 or 8 inches there and maybe 10 or 12 inches on the back side. So you could hammer this halfway in. Now, this is perfect for a nice symmetrical round hole like a projectile might make, but the hole is never going to be perfect. It's going to hit along a seam, a riveted seam, and it's going to make a long gap or something like that. So in addition to things like the DC plugs here, repair lockers will also have canvas strips and oakum like this stored, so you can wrap it around your plug and help make it further watertight. So oftentimes you'll see they put a sheet of canvas over the hole and then they hammer the plug into it. And obviously canvas isn't watertight, but it's like the wood, expanding, it's filling that hole, so much less water is coming through and flooding the ship, which means the pumps can keep up with it. And that big plug I showed you is actually just a medium-sized plug. I didn't want to carry a bigger one up here, but they come for battleships in particular in much larger sizes, 16, 18, 20 inches, so that you can plug a battleship-sized hole. And often, whereas this is a single piece of wood that's been turned down or lathed to that size, there are multiple pieces laminated together to get to that thickness. These are not designed to last. They're soft wood, they would rot easily. This one's got all sorts of chips in it because it's made out of checks, because it's made out of a single piece of wood. But that is fine. You're just slowing the flow of water. So, Battleship New Jersey is a very fortunate ship, and as far as I know, she never suffered any flooding issues throughout her entire career. But that doesn't mean that the crew didn't train for it. Battleships are most vulnerable to hits below the water. Torpedoes, mines, things like that hit below the armor belt. And so a well-trained crew can offset a lack of perfect armor. Damage control techniques became so good in U.S. Navy use during World War II that modern ships, we don't have a lot of armor protection, because we trust our crew's damage control capabilities. Much of the country experienced flooding earlier this month as a result of Hurricane Ida. Philadelphia took a lot of water. My house was fine, but on the ship we did do some waterproofing, closing exterior doors, that sort of stuff that we wouldn't normally do. Did you guys have to do any damage control in your own homes? Let us know in the comment section down below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals. The support you guys have given us is tremendous, and there's a link in the description below if you'd like to continue helping us out. You can also support the museum and our YouTube channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about us. Thanks for watching.
Kegunaan tupang ini sama seperti tupang kayu. Kelebihan tupang ini adalah boleh dilaraskan mengikut ketinggian yang diperlukan berbanding dengan tupang kayu yang perlu dipotong bagi mengikut saiz ketinggian yang diperlukan. adalah sejenis pam yang direka untuk tenggelam sepenuhnya dalam cecair dan biasanya digunakan di kapal untuk pelbagai tujuan dan salah satunya adalah mengepam keluar air dari kebanjiran dan pam ini mudah alih sesuai untuk digunakan di mana lokasi kebanjiran. Pam sering digunakan dalam sistem bilge untuk mengeluarkan air yang terkumpul di bahagian hal kapal. Pam tenggelam berfungsi dengan menukarkan tenaga putaran dari motor kepada tenaga kinetik yang meningkatkan kelajuan dan tekanan cecair. Ini membolehkan cecair dipam ke permukaan atau ke lokasi yang dikehendaki.
This is a video about how to operate a 2-inch Surumi submersible pump. So what we're going to do, we've got a 2-inch discharge hose here, and this is honestly one of the simplest pieces of equipment we rent. There's not even an off-on switch. All you do is plug it in to the tower and you go. You need to make sure your ground prong is in place, and you also want to make sure you're not standing in the water you're pumping. So we're going to unravel the cord here. Long cord. And we're going to hook up our hose, discharge hose. Spread that out. Discharge hose, simply threads on here, no problem. Now we're going to go ahead and set the pump down in the water that we're pumping. These are great for pumping all kinds of stuff, swimming pools, things like that. I'm going to take my plug into our power supply here. There we go. I'm going to pump the water straight out. Can pump up to about 20 feet elevation up, and I believe about 80 gallons a minute. You can see making quick work of the trash cart we filled with water for our demonstration. And when you're done, you just unplug it. Stops pumping. And that's how you operate a Surumi 2-inch submersible pump.
Northside Tool Rental. Get it right the first time.
Sekian, terima kasih. Like, share dan subscribe.